Do you see any of the real Diana in Meghan? Did you?
No.
Really?
No.
Oh.
Sorry.
What if the woman who claimed she just wanted privacy turned out to be the one chasing the spotlight harder than anyone in royal history?
Are there any fans of Meghan Markle in tonight? Oh, hang on! There is one lone hand has raised
Subversive.
up here. Actually, that is one more than I expected. I have to be honest. And all the racism claims turned out to be bullshit. The mental health claims were all of it was bullshit, designed to damage and attack the royal family, the monarchy, and all of it. And it made me.
When the question, do you see any of the real Diana and Meghan? Came up, the hesitation said everything. No comparisons. No resemblance. Just silence, and then the kind of awkward, "Oh, sorry," that lingers in the air long after the camera's cut. And that silence became the spark for a story Meghan never saw coming. Because what happens when a woman who insists she wants privacy turns out to be chasing the spotlight harder than anyone in modern royal history? Saturday Night Live asked that question out loud. Any Meghan Markle fans here tonight? Colin Jost joked, scanning the room. One lone hand. One. Honestly? That's one more than I expected. The crowd erupted. Meghan, watching from Montecito, definitely didn't. But the real detonation came from someone who knows exactly how to push her buttons. Piers Morgan. With one smug tweet, just 12 words hinting at a hidden royal recording, he sent the internet into full meltdown. According to him, this wasn't rumor. It was evidence. A supposed tape that could blow her narrative wide open. Suddenly, the claim she'd spent years leaning on racism, mental health struggles, palace cruelty, were being called bull. Design damage. Manipulation. A strategic assault on the monarchy. Piers didn't whisper it. He said it with his entire chest. And the world listened. Hashtags like Megxit Reloaded exploded across X. Reaction channels went into overdrive. Memes mocked her serene yoga energy. Inside Montecito, insiders say she wasn't sipping green juice. She was spiraling. Because this wasn't tabloid fluff. It was a ghost from her pre-royal past. A voice hinting she had a plan long before Harry ever entered the picture. And then came the dark memory everyone remembers. The Oprah interview. The wide eyes. The dramatic pauses. The what? What? That echoed like a stage performance. The claim that someone in the royal family questioned how dark her baby would be. It made headlines. It made outrage. But now, with Piers teasing buried tapes, old moments were being pulled back into the spotlight with new suspicion. Piers, of course, refused to back down. The man has made a career out of poking the Duchess-shaped beehive. He bragged about the 57,000 complaints he received after refusing to believe Princess Pinocchio. His bosses told him to apologize or lose his job. He chose the door and walked off into the sunset, as he puts it. But the real explosion hadn't even begun. Because then came the clip, the grainy, muffled 10-second audio that froze the internet. A calm voice, distorted and low, saying, her plan was bigger than Harry. No context. No confirmation. Just enough clarity to sound dangerously real. Enough ambiguity to send royal watchers, conspiracy theorists, and ex-staffers into full forensic mode. TikTok synced the line with old red carpet footage. Reddit built theories thicker than novels. Audio analysts slowed the clip down until every breath sounded like a confession. And Piers? He didn't deny it. He didn't confirm it. He simply tweeted 3 words. Told you so. That tweet alone set the tone for what came next. Because when a bigger version of the clip surfaced, longer, clearer, and far more confident, the outrage went nuclear. This time the voice didn't talk about Harry. It talked about the royal family itself. The quote dropped like a thunderclap. The goal wasn't to join them. It was to outgrow them. Theories exploded. Was it a producer from her early media days? An ex-friend? An old colleague who'd seen too much? Meghan's defenders swore it was fake. Critics swore it was real. And Piers just smirked on air as if he'd been waiting years to watch the world implode. Meanwhile, Montecito reportedly slipped into crisis mode. Early morning calls. Lawyers on standby. Consultants whispering. Assistants pacing. Meghan demanding answers about who could have leaked it and why. The rumor inside the rumor was the worst part. She believed it came from someone who'd once been trusted. That hit harder than the audio itself. Because now silence wasn't protection. Silence looked like strategy. Silence looked like guilt. And online storms don't wait for royal permission. For Meghan Markle, the spotlight she fought to escape had just snapped back on. And this time it wasn't soft, flattering light. It was interrogation. When the second clip spread, the internet didn't just analyze it, they dissected it like a crime scene. Millions of amateur sleuths around the world turned into self-declared audio experts overnight. Some slowed the voice to half speed. Others compared pitch patterns. A few even used waveform software to match the breathing pauses with old interviews from Meghan's early acting career. Every click became a clue. Every whisper became motive. Royal commentators hesitated, terrified of touching something that might backfire. But the vacuum only fed the frenzy. When no institution speaks, the internet invents answers. And invent it did. One theory claimed it was a palace aide. Another insisted it was a Hollywood ex-friend. A wild third theory claimed it was a voice Meghan had confronted years earlier, and the recording had been buried. No one agreed, but everyone was obsessed. Then something strange happened. Meghan's ex-husband, Trevor Engelson, suddenly went completely offline. No posts, no interviews, no comments. Just silence. That silence became gasoline for conspiracy fires. Was he the voice? Was he pressured? Was he protecting himself? Theories stacked up faster than anyone could debunk them. Meanwhile, Buckingham Palace stayed utterly, perfectly silent. Not a comment. Not a denial. Nothing. The institution famous for never complain, never explain, seemed to be enjoying a front-row seat to Meghan's unraveling. Commentators whispered privately that this wasn't neutrality. It was calculation. Let the public fight. Let the internet tear itself apart. The crown wouldn't need to lift a finger. Then came an even darker twist. Some online investigators claimed to find evidence suggesting the leak may have been orchestrated. Not by Meghan, but by someone who benefits from keeping her in chaos. Old rivalries resurfaced. Former publicists. Industry enemies. People with grudges that predate the royal wedding. If that theory were true, Meghan wasn't cunning, she was cornered. Her critics scoffed, calling it convenient spin. Her supporters embraced it, saying it fit perfectly with how the media machine treats the Duchess. Either way, a new question tore through the noise. Was Meghan the architect of her downfall, or the latest casualty of an industry that profits from her destruction? Then Piers escalated things again. He revealed the number of complaints he'd gotten over the years for criticizing Meghan, bragging about it, even, before reminding the world that he lost his job because he refused to apologize to her. To him, this was vindication. Proof he'd been right all along. Proof the tapes were the beginning of something much bigger. The online frenzy reached full detonation mode. Forensic analysis videos hit millions of views. Hashtags multiplied. Conspiracy threads ran longer than novels. Audio engineers, real and self-proclaimed, claimed they could identify the exact room where the recording happened. One said the clink in the background suggested a press conference. Another said it sounded like a hotel. Someone even suggested it matched an old studio Meghan once filmed in. It became less about Meghan and Piers, and more about the thrill of the mystery. And through it all, Meghan's team stayed silent. Lawyers whispered. PR advisors panicked. Friends claimed she felt betrayed. Insiders said she was preparing her boldest legal move yet. Maybe litigation, maybe a televised rebuttal. Either option would explode online. But whichever move she chose, it would be measured against the one thing she couldn't outrun: the voice. And then the third twist arrived. The palace silence broke in the strangest way possible. Not with a statement, but through the behavior of commentators close to the monarchy. Suddenly they were more confident, more amused, more willing to talk around the edges of the scandal. It felt like a coordinated nod. We warned you. Late-night shows mocked the chaos. Headlines spun new theories every hour. TikTok stitched the audio with royal wedding footage. Reddit pinned a mega-thread. And the longer Meghan stayed silent, the louder the storm grew. Because online silence is not calm. Silence is accusation. Silence is fuel. And right now, Meghan Markle was burning at the center of a cultural wildfire she couldn't control. As the internet tore itself apart trying to identify the voice, a new storyline began to dominate the narrative. One far more dangerous for Meghan. What if the recording wasn't a smoking gun at all but bait? Something planted to detonate public opinion, stir outrage, and create a distraction powerful enough to overshadow everything else happening in the royal orbit? Some insiders whispered that the timing was too perfect, that old controversies around other royals were resurfacing, that the institution needed a diversion, and Meghan, polarizing, unpredictable, global, was the ideal lightning rod. Whether that theory held any truth or not didn't matter. Online, perception becomes reality long before facts ever surface. Piers Morgan only fanned the flames. The man played the scandal with theatrical precision. Every smirk, every pause, every sly "you haven't heard everything yet." He fed the public just enough to keep them addicted. One clip, one hint, one cryptic tweet, and the cycle restarted like a season finale cliffhanger. Even seasoned broadcasters admit it privately. Piers wasn't chasing clout. He was orchestrating spectacle. Meanwhile, Meghan's team reportedly scrambled behind closed doors. Phones buzzed non-stop. Lawyers demanded audio analysis. Her PR strategists debated whether to stay silent or strike back. Friends whispered that Meghan was furious, not just at the content of the clips, but at the betrayal behind them. She wanted to know who, how, and why. Online, the storm had already shifted from gossip to gladiator match. Critics demanded apology. Supporters begged for empathy. Neutral spectators simply wanted the next episode. And all of it, every meme, every breakdown, every viral theory, led back to the same terrifying truth. Meghan Markle no longer controlled her narrative. She wasn't driving the story. She was the story. And then Piers took a victory lap. Not quietly, but publicly. He reminded viewers of his own fallout with Meghan. How the palace tapes, the Oprah interview, and years of tension culminated in him refusing to apologize to her. How he walked away from his job rather than take back a single word. To his fans, he was the truth teller. To her fans, he was an obsessed antagonist. But to the internet, he was entertainment. And just when the chaos reached peak saturation, he pulled one final move. He teased another tape. Not a confirmation. Not a denial. Just a warning. If you think that was big, wait until next week. That sentence alone sent hashtags spiraling again. No one knew if he was bluffing or holding dynamite. Everyone waited anyway. Meghan, meanwhile, faced a crisis of perception. Every defense she could make would be scrutinized. Every silence interpreted as guilt. Every rebuttal dismissed as spin. The digital battlefield had turned into a hydra. Cut off one rumor, and two more grew. And the palace? Still silent. Regal. Detached. Watching the storm from behind walls that have withstood centuries of scandal. Because sometimes the loudest message is the one never spoken. As the dust began to settle, one realization stood above all the noise. Meghan had become a character in a story she didn't write. A protagonist for half the world. A villain for the other half. And a spectacle for everyone in between. Piers may have thrown the first punch this round. But the real battle wasn't between him and Meghan. It was between the image she carefully crafted and the narrative the public now wanted to believe. In today's world, truth isn't what's recorded. Truth is what goes viral. And Meghan Markle has learned that the spotlight she once controlled can turn into a searchlight aimed straight at the cracks. If this round was dramatic, wait until you see what came before it. The late-night takedown that ignited the internet and made even royal loyalists question everything. Watch that story next and see how every headline, every rumor, every leaked clip leads back to a single question. Who is really controlling the spotlight? This is Star Spotlight, where truth meets tea, and every headline hides a bigger game.